All right, we have more changes unfolding in the world of corporate America. Changes that saw more government overreach and the spirit of meritocratic capitalism attacked this week from within our own country, from within our own judiciary, targeted against the one man who represents the American dream more so than really anyone else at the moment, Elon Musk, who saw his $55 billion compensation package voided out, stripped from him. All on the authority and power of one person, a Delaware Chancery Court judge. No jury was involved in this decision. It all came down to the whims of this one person, this one judge, someone who appears to really not like this man as a Tesla shareholder, a person who owns just 9 single shares, filed a lawsuit arguing that the compensation package was excessive and unjust. Something that this judge agreed with, despite the fact that the board of directors unanimously agreed to it, not to mention 80% of shareholders did as well. But the story gets way more wacky, with odd connections reaching the highest levels of power in this country, all the way up to the White House. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. And make sure to subscribe to the channel to continue receiving these regular updates. Also, don't forget to check out our new daily show over on the Notify America YouTube channel. The link is in the description. So earlier this week, Delaware Chancery Court Judge Kathleen McCormick stripped Elon Musk of his $55 billion comp package, a deal, like I said a minute ago, that the Tesla board and 80% of Tesla shareholders agreed with back in 2018. Now, before we get into the odd stuff, the odd and strange coincidences and conflicts that appear to exist between the judge and the current president, let's just add some context around this compensation deal, a package that I personally think every CEO should be forced to accept. Forget the 8 and 9 figure salaries some of these CEOs receive. What if the CEO of Disney or like Anheuser-Busch had to earn zero salary? Or how about just a similar salary as the rest of the line workers at the company and would only receive bonuses tied to company performance, only receive multi-million-dollar bonuses if you can double the size and value of the company? Think about that. There'd be no ESG right now, no Bud Light fiasco, no DEI. Everything would be based on good old meritocratic results. If you don't do a good job, you don't earn any money. If you do a great job, you earn a ton of money. Well, that's how Elon's compensation package was structured.
A radical new compensation plan. It could be perhaps the most radical compensation plan in history. Musk's compensation is going to be tied directly to the company's performance. The executive will receive no guaranteed compensation of any kind at all. He gets no salary, cash bonus, equity. He only gets equity that vests over time, but only if he reaches these hurdle rates, which are, dare I say, crazy. So right now the company's worth $59 billion. Mm-hmm. They run at $50 billion increments.
And he did it. He achieved it. Something nobody thought was possible. Some of the profit growth targets were insane. In 5 years, the company went from being valued at $60 billion to today being valued at over $600 billion. And remember, if Elon didn't hit these milestones, he would have been paid nothing. Squat. That seems like more than a fair deal to me if I'm a shareholder. Well, this week, Delaware Judge Kathleen McCormick voided this compensation package, saying it was excessive. No jury. The decision was made solely by this one person, decided by this one Delaware judge, all because a single Tesla shareholder who owned a total of 9 shares, 9, not 90, not 900, 9, filed a lawsuit saying as much.
Some breaking news into us tonight. A Delaware judge voiding the Tesla CEO's $56 billion pay package. The Tesla CEO, of course, Elon Musk. It basically means that payout is canceled. The judge says Tesla's board didn't make a fair compensation plan. And this is pretty big news in the business world. The Tesla stock has slid 3% now.
Well, here's where things get a bit strange, a bit of a bias, let's call it, against Elon Musk. This is the same judge who ruled against Elon during his Twitter acquisition. And before we look at all of this, let's just lay our cards down, right? Elon, he's a target. There are a lot of people who love him, but there's a whole ton of people who don't. He's single-handedly broken the chains of the censorship industrial complex, not just by buying Twitter and removing the ridiculous content moderation policies that they had, but also exposing the corruption that was happening in the background, allowing investigative journalists access to the Twitter internal databases, to their email accounts, to look for any coordination between their content moderation team and the federal government, any contact between Twitter executives and the federal government. And boy, did they find the mother lode. We all know about that, right? Thanks to independent media, corporate media tried to bury it, tried their damnedest to bury the story, but all the emails and proof, they're all public. Anyone can look them up for themselves. There's actually a case right now that's scheduled in the Supreme Court, a very important case, called Missouri v. Biden on this very issue. If the Biden administration broke the law, violated the First Amendment with doing this, it seems cut and dry, right? But the defenders of this behavior say they weren't censoring. They were only recommending the censorship, not doing it themselves, so it's not a violation of the First Amendment. Crazy. It's crazy, folks. So anyways, keep in mind, all of this is happening in the background here, right? Elon is pissing a lot of powerful people off. Factions within the federal bureaucracy want him to fall in line. Here's the president saying as much and calling publicly for his government to investigate him. Watch.
I think that Elon Musk's cooperation and/or technical relationships with other countries is worthy of being looked at. Whether or not he is doing anything inappropriate, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that it's worth being looked at. But that's all I'll say. There's a lot of ways.
I think Elon's worth being looked at. That was a warning. That's what that was, telling Elon to fall in line. Well, he hasn't, and he won't. He clearly believes strongly in his convictions. He calls out corruption when he sees it, uses his massive platform to bring attention to issues that he believes are important, and a lot of times those issues crash head-on with the bigger agenda here. So with all of that in mind, an X user, Kanekoa the Great, I think it's called, a popular account on X, 650,000 plus followers, who does like independent investigations, looked into the conflicts of interest in this case and found some odd things, some strange coincidences, and provides the receipts in the post that he made. Take a look at this. He writes, Judge McCormick rescinded Elon Musk's $55 billion compensation package, overturning the company's board and 80% of its shareholders. McCormick also ruled against Elon Musk during his Twitter acquisition. Before becoming the head of the Delaware Chancery Court, McCormick worked at a Delaware law firm called Young Conaway. This firm and its employees have been major donors to President Joe Biden for decades. In 2016, Hunter Biden hosted a gubernatorial campaign event for Congressman John Carney, with then Vice President Joe Biden as the guest speaker. This event took place at the law offices of Young Conaway in Wilmington, Delaware. Carney, a close friend of Joe Biden for the last 4 decades, later became governor and nominated Kathleen McCormick, a partner at Young Conaway, to her current position on the Delaware Chancery Court. In a March 2018 email, Hunter Biden claimed to personally know every judge on the Delaware Chancery Court while threatening legal action against his Chinese business partners. Writing this in an email, which you could see attached, by the way, it says, quote, I will bring the suit in the Chancery Court in Delaware, which, as you know, is my home state, and I am privileged to have worked with and know every judge on the Chancery Court, unquote. He goes on, after Elon Musk purchased Twitter with the stated goal of restoring free speech, President Biden called for a federal investigation into Musk on the podium at the White House. Following this, the Biden Department of Justice, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the FTC initiated legal actions and investigations against Tesla, SpaceX, and X. Now, before I keep going, it's odd, isn't it, that more hasn't been done yet to completely tear him down. Only 10 months until November 7th, and X is as close to a free speech platform as you could really get in this day and age, more or less. the attacks have been kind of subdued, it seems like. Well, keep in mind, there are also factions within the government who like Elon, who respect him. Also, they need him. The Pentagon, for instance, relies on him. The Space Force utilizes his services. NASA absolutely needs his services. So it's not the entire federal government that he's fighting here. It's this uber political class that despises the thought of free speech. So anyways, he goes on and includes email threads, right, which we're not going to show on this video, but they appear to show a very cozy relationship between the judge and some of the president's top donors. And look, we've seen this very ugly phenomenon recently take root in this country where one side goes after individuals they disagree with using the legal system, suing for things like defamation to silence people, to financially ruin people. This appears to be another example of this, and it's shameful. What business is it of a judge to intervene in Tesla's compensation packages, a package that the board of directors unanimously agreed for, that 80% of shareholders agreed on, that awarded everyone involved bigly in the last 5 years, growing Tesla into the powerhouse that it is today? Elon says they've already begun the process of reincorporating Tesla in Texas. He also wrote this on X, quote, "Never incorporate your company in the state of Delaware," unquote. 55 million views now. That was the other day. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Also, don't forget to check out our new daily show over on the Notify America YouTube channel. The link's in the description.